Welcome friends, welcome back to the kitchen, welcome back to what was on sale at the grocery store. So, just after Easter, at the grocery store was a whole bunker of these rib roasts, boneless rib roasts. They were all pretty cheap to begin with, but they all had a 30% off sticker on them. So I bought a couple, put them in the freezer, wasn't really sure what I was going to do with them. Recently, I was in Texas. I went down to Austin, Texas to do a couple of things with the Whiskey Tribe and the Whiskey Vault, collaboration videos elsewhere on the channel and on the internet. And I was eating barbecue, and I had this thought. Is anyone out there cooking rib roast, a standing rib roast or a prime rib roast, or there's a whole bunch of different things that you can call this. Is anyone out there cooking these like it's a brisket? And I know that for some people that is sacrilege to even think of that. I like my rib roast cooked to somewhere in the 125 degrees Fahrenheit range. To me, that sort of level of medium rare to medium rare suits me just fine. And I like the texture, I like the taste, I like all of those things. But what if you cooked it to 225 or 235 degrees Fahrenheit on a smoker, low and slow on a smoker, and then, about halfway through, wrap it up in some butcher paper and let it cook the rest of the way, rendering out all of the internal fat that often doesn't render out. So when you cook something like this to 125 or 135 degrees, you always see that seam of fat through the middle, and it does not render. So I came home and I looked it up, and yes, there are people who do it that way, and they seem to really like it. And I looked at the meat and I thought, that looks pretty good. I want to try that. I'm someone who doesn't always take other people's opinion to heart. I often look at stuff and think, that couldn't possibly be good. So I want to try it myself. So that's what we're doing today. So I'm just salting this now. And I'm going to put it on this other sheet tray on top of this rack. I'm going to stick it back in the fridge, and I'm going to leave it until tomorrow. Typically, I like to do this and let it go 18, 24, even sometimes up to 48 hours in the fridge, drying out. Let that salt pull out a little bit of moisture and get a nice tacky surface on the outside before I throw it on the smoker. It's an experiment. I'm going to give it a go. This was a relatively inexpensive piece of beef. I'm going to eat it whether it works out or not, but I have high hopes for this piece of meat. Okay, 24 hours have gone by, and this has been sitting out of the fridge for maybe an hour and a half or 2 hours at this point. Horrible, cold, rainy spring day happening outside, which is going to make filming a little bit difficult. We'll get through it. So this has been salted, 24 hours. You could go 48. It's going to be a beautiful sunshiny day tomorrow, but I'm busy doing something else. Tomorrow is the great day for being outside and smoking on the barbecue. Anyway, I'm going to get rid of this rack. I've had an internal debate over the last 24 hours while this was in the fridge. What to spice it with? Should I just leave it with salt, put some more salt on it, tie it up, and put it out on the barbecue? Should I do salt and pepper, just a straight salt and pepper? Should I put on some other type of smoking barbecue rub? And I've decided I'm going to use our Montreal steak spice rub or our Montreal smoked meat spice rub. You can find this recipe elsewhere on our channel. And I'll also slip that recipe into the description box below. So I'm going to cover this and then I'm going to tie it up. So let's get to sprinkling. I'm going to tie this up just to see if I can get a tighter roast. Okay, so I've got this trussed up and all of the Montreal steak spice that's kind of on the tray. I'm just going to see if I can dab the roast with that. I'll give my hands a scrub, and then we'll go out to the smoker. Now, I've got a Yoder smoker outside. I I've set it to 245 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'm running kind of a mix of different woods in it today. It's raining out. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time standing outside because I really don't want to take the cameras outside. So I'll shoot from the door. We'll get the shots that we need. Get up to about 160 degrees Fahrenheit internal. That's when I'm going to pull it off and wrap it up. Ooh, that looks really good. Okay, internal temperature 168 degrees Fahrenheit. So I'll pull this off. And then we'll take it in for a wrap. Okay, so inside I have some butcher paper. And the really important stuff, this is beef fat. Every time I cook something where there's rendered out fat, I save the fat. I always save the fat. Doesn't matter if it's beef, pork, bacon, chicken, duck, whatever. I save the fat. I've got all kinds of little jars of it everywhere in the kitchen. And I'm going to use it here. I'm going to put some of this fat inside the butcher paper with the beef. I need another. I'm going to wrap it up. And so when you wrap it up, this kind of stays inside. And it's just going to add to how juicy this meat is going to feel at the end. I'm feeling pretty good about this. I know there's some naysayers out there. I know that people are doubting me. At a certain point I doubted myself too, but I think this is going to work out really well. So we've got some good bark and color on the outside of that meat. Just put a little bit more of that fat on top. And everything that came off on the tray. Here we go. So roll it and try and keep it tight. Back out to the smoker. Goal now is to get internal temperature up to around 200. That might take another couple hours. Okay, so there is the thermometer. We've reached 200 degrees internal. So let's get this off inside and let it rest. Okay, so this has been resting a little bit. Let's get it unwrapped. Without. Oh. Oh, this is going to be good.
Hi, friends. Hey, Glenn.
Hey, Jules.
Can't decide what to do there? I assume we'll need a fork.
Can't decide which knife to use. Okay, so
plethora of choices. It looks pretty good.
Before I cut this open, let's talk about a couple of things.
You and I? Or are you talking with them? Okay, because, you know.
So this was ungraded beef. I would not have done this method with a piece of prime rib. So graded prime.
Okay.
Which is the top grade here in Canada and the United States. When you talk about prime rib, when you say just prime rib, prime just means where on the animal it came from, which ribs it is. You're looking at chicken's footprints. Yeah, we had a tussle in the garden. It doesn't. Prime just means which ribs it came from on the animal. Prime is also so it's
a grading.
Grading, but the two are. But so you have to say them both. So I would not have done this with a prime rib.
was a long journey.
I know, really confusing. I looked at
Oh boy, that's falling apart.
the grading pictures. This was,
did you
if
roll
I'm
it?
being charitable, in Canada, would have been at the bottom level of AAA, which in the United States is choice. But I'm going to say it was more than likely AA, which is American Select, which made it okay to do this experiment. You want to cut it open now? Julie's already
I'm just waiting, right? I'm just waiting. That's great, Glenn.
Julie's ready with the fork. Let's cut it open. It did take a long time. I put this on this morning at 10 o'clock. And it's now, what, 7
Am I in
p.m.?
your way there, Glenn?
Yeah, you are in my
Let me
way.
shift a little.
Let's...
Let me shift out of the way.
Okay. Oh, so much juice. And that fat did almost completely render out. Okay. Okay, so this is completely falling apart, just like a brisket would. Can't even
That's a lot of brisket.
cut it. Well, so, which part, Julie? I don't know. It's just falling apart.
Okay, I need a smaller piece. Ooh, there's a knife.
Okay. Okay.
Do you have more to say than okay?
You can cook a lower quality prime rib like a brisket. Whereas I think if I'd cooked this, my worry was that if I'd cooked this to 120, it is pretty good, isn't it?
We haven't actually mentioned that part. That's really good.
If I'd cooked this to 125 to 130, where I normally would have, it could have been a tough cut of meat, even though it was prime rib, but because it was a lower quality. But cooking it to 200 using this method, it's just fallen apart, and it tastes so good. It really does taste so good. Okay. I'm just going to keep eating.
I'm trying not to eat it all right
do need
now
to sit
because, you know,
down.
I'd like to sit down and eat
Okay.
it with, you know, the potatoes and stuff. Just saying.
So as an experiment, it worked out. If you are faced with a lower cut of prime rib on sale, super cheap, consider cooking it this way. And I started this morning at 10. It's now 7 p.m. So it's going to take a long time. Thanks for stopping by. See you again soon. You're still here. Since you're still here, let me tell you about Give Hope Wings. Last year, 2023, I flew in a charity fundraiser called Give Hope Wings that raises money for a charitable organization called Hope Air. And you, my viewers, donated $27,000 and really changed some lives. Made a difference. You made a difference in people's lives. So Hope Air is a charity that works in Canada, and they provide free flights and lodging to people that live in the more remote parts of Canada if they need to get to somewhere like Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver, Edmonton, Calgary, something like that, a larger urban center, in order to receive some sort of care, cancer treatment, different types of operations, that sort of thing, that can't be done in their own community. The healthcare is covered by the Government of Canada. It is free. It's part of our universal healthcare. But getting yourself to that healthcare can be an incredible burden for people who live in those more remote communities where driving isn't practical or driving isn't possible, because we have a lot of communities in Canada that are fly-in or boat-in only. So that's where Hope Air comes in. They pair private pilots like myself with small aircraft to fly to these communities, pick people up, and bring them either directly to the larger urban center or to a larger urban center where commercial traffic is available. Commercial flights are available. And then from there, they cover the commercial flight to the larger center. Something that I definitely believe in. Having lived in some of those smaller communities in my younger years, I know how difficult it is, how isolating it is. and that you cannot get out when you need to sometimes. So I would encourage you, please, if you can, I will drop the link below in the description box. Take a look into Hope Air, and if you're able to, please help out and donate. Thanks for stopping by. See you again soon.